This is I think it's Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. I don't know what date it is. I just know that I'm on planet Earth. And my timeline is speeding up. It's accelerated. So I just wanted to cover a few basic stuff and make and sort of emphasize really what is the sum of the game, so to speak, right? What I call event markers, okay? What I do when I'm on my own timeline is I have what I call anchor points or event markers, which are sort of like, as I mentioned before, when you're on a timeline, like when you want to walk through the forest in a place you've never been before and you're fearless, okay? Timelines are like sequenced events on your timeline. So I have what I call anchor points to make sure that I'm on my right timeline, okay? So I look at event markers, what I call major. There are little event markers, and then there are major event markers that are based on what we call the rate of change, which is the rate of speed of change. Remember, we're back to the speed of the experience. What are we experiencing? Why are things accelerating at the rate at which those changes are occurring? Because when you measure it on a minus/plus scale of speed, whether you're going in reverse, which means you're losing light, or you're going forward and going faster, which means you're gaining light, you realize the changes that are taking place and the direction in which we're going. Okay? That's a scale measurement. Okay? A scalar measurement, remember? Okay? So in this case, I looked at a major marker. One of the things that I look at are what are called large institutional changes because of the amount of energy that is used to keep those events running. So we can talk about the educational system as a major mile marker or anchor marker, the political system of which the educational system is a part, okay? The financial sector, the military sector, all of the major institutions in which a lot of energy, in this case electrons translated through money systems, right? People got to get paid, right? So I look at institutional changes, okay, on an event horizon timeline. So in this particular case, I was looking at what's happening in the sports media complex, okay, like Fox Sports, ESPN. ESPN is laying off tons of people. Why is that? Money. They're not making as much money anymore. Why not? Because people have decided to say goodbye. They're less interested in what they have to say because they believe they become a political instrument instead of an athletic game. And so when we realize, for example, as I mentioned in a video, I made a couple of videos yesterday that I deleted. I just didn't like. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go back and listen to what it is as if I'm the observer of my own self. But what I do is I try and participate like somebody who goes to a movie theater to watch a movie. Okay, so what does it feel like, right? So what I'll do is I'll sort of observe myself in observer mode and then see if this is the way in which I'm presenting it in a way in which it's always going to have the higher resonant frequency. If I feel like you're going to experience it the way that I do because I can calibrate the speed at which I'm experiencing what it is that I'm presenting, then I don't want anybody to experience something that is lower than what I give, which is what love is. Okay? If you've watched all my videos, you understand how that works. Running your own tack, remember? So the fact that the sports world is radically changing, particularly if you look at the NBA, and we're in the NBA Finals right now, right, between the Lakers. LeBron is otherwise known as the GOAT. If you know the GOAT related to the Masons, if you will, and what is known as ball worship, ball, B-A-A-L, barium and aluminum. You can tie that into other dots, okay, into electrodynamic experiences. So what I wanted to mention here, which was important, is called the fifth world of the sixth sun. Those that are amongst the native tribes and clans on this planet know exactly what that means. Bye. The fourth world ended in 2013. We're not going back. Okay? It's ended. It's over. So what it means to be autonomous, that's really if I want to just sort of underscore everything that I've shared, because all of the data that represents what everybody's experienced here over the last 26,000 plus years through all of the recycling of one generation to the next, 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 really has been an energy harvesting system. And so we have to look at, well, how does that work? Because the primary dilemma that we have as humanity, if you will, that I've always recognized since I was a child here, deals with one single word in English, and that's control. Somehow or other, people are driven by the need to control things. They just cannot let go. Okay? They don't want to let go of something. Okay? Whether it's a dog on a leash, okay, and we can translate what it means to have a dog on a leash. Well, see, if you're out in the woods somewhere, your dog can run wild with you, right? But when you're in a city, no, there's rules because, hey, that dog might bite somebody. Okay? So that's a fear-based perception, right? Because we got to put that on a leash because we're in a state of fear. You see how that plays out? When you're out in nature, you're not in any fear, so the dog can run loose. Now the dog is in its what? Natural state, because it's in nature. Okay? So if you're sort of putting all this together, you realize how this sort of works. The difference between the natural world and a fear-based world. That's sort of why cities have always represented to me what I call magnets for parasites, okay? And they are, okay? Because they're not living out in the forest where everybody's free to live as a tribe or a clan or however they live. They're not living off the land and being free. They live in cities because of money. And then the distance that they got to travel to a city to get what they need. So in other words, they don't work the land, okay? And in other words, like a groundskeeper, okay? Like as an example, when I lived on the island of Kauai, okay, I came from a job-related sort of money. Hey, I'm getting money. Now I got energy represented by the money to now go into their stores and buy what it is I think that I need. Yet when I go to the island of Kauai, I realize she already provides everything that I need. Okay, I'm living in a tree house in the trees. So the waterfalls is providing spring water, and I know where the springs are, so I'm getting highly charged mineral water. So the girl on the planet's giving me that. So we grew a garden, okay, which was permaculture, that allowed us as a food staple, if you will, to get high-frequency energy nutrients from volcanic rock that is growing these vegetables. But fruit trees are everywhere. So I realized I don't need any money. No, I don't. But they don't want you to live that way because now you're not paying the master, okay, the master programmer. That's what I call it, the master programmer. We're held captive, okay, to the program, and the program is parasitic, okay? So the ultimate scale measurement of our learning in a classroom centers on control, our ability to give it up, okay? Allow things to be free, to be what they are in their natural state. How am I going to really know who you are if you got a mask on? Which means you're pretending to be something that you're not because you're held captive to something that doesn't want you to be free to be what you are. So you're in a state of fear because you know that it does not want you to be free to be who you are because then it can't control you. Free Thought Project, ever heard of them? Okay, so it leads to another question. What are you needing that you're not getting or giving yourself to be free from control and the need to control others? Perception. Perception vibration, remember? Because when we are free to be who we are, to express ourselves freely, we can actually measure that on a speed scale. The TAC. No prison bars. To be free to express who we are without any fear. Fear is 100 megahertz. That's 100 million hertz. That's food. We're food. Okay? And experience a higher frequency, say of 500, 800 megahertz. That energy feels good. Wow. When you're feeling that kind of energy, man, I don't need any energy. Are you kidding? I'm in a timeless state. So you're not trying to control anything, are you? No, because I got all the energy that I need. That's what happens when you run a higher speed, a higher tach. So the dilemma of control, therefore, is based on what it can't love, which is itself. It's not running a love frequency. So it's not experiencing the energy that it is that's experiencing, which is what love is. Why? Because it's in fear of that vibration. Why? Are you crazy? You're in fear of what love is? And love is free energy? And we're giving it away like a lighthouse? You're in fear of free energy? What? How's that possible? Because I'm in a state of fear. I'm in fear of that energy because it's more powerful. I don't run that energy. And I know how powerful that energy is because it's in a timeless state. Because I know when you're running a tach like that, you're free. You're not allowing yourself to be held captive by anything. And you're not trying to hold anything else captive. You're in a no-time state. Welcome to fifth density. Okay? Now you manifest using the energy that you are to do it with. Everybody's free. That's a real autonomous zone. Now your creative imagination is free. You just unlock the prison bars. So the mirror, the bidirectional mirror, when you look in the mirror, okay? Imagine when you're a fear-based being, like a predator, like a reptilian, for example, which is a fear-based brain, okay? That's an automatic target in the mirror. Why is that? Because it means that the only way that it can maintain what it is, which is itself, which is what it's aware of, which is in fear of what love is, means that they fear us. They fear that energy. So if it can't love what it sees in the mirror, then its timeline, the waveform speed of what it experiences, is self-knowledge as a predatory parasite. It knows its survival rate to reproduce more of what it is aware of, which is itself, is necessary to perpetuate itself. It's got to reproduce more dark energy. Okay? They have to continue to feed on us. Otherwise, they go bye-bye. That's the difference between a fear-based timeline and a love-based timeline. Love-based timeline is no time. A fear-based timeline collapses. That's why, go ask any zoologist, conservation biologist, anthropologist, who's being honest, who's not lying, knows that in the fossil record, the most predatory energy is always the first to go extinct. Why is that? Because it runs out of energy. That's why it runs out of energy. Its timeline collapses. So in order for you to get to fifth density, you got to be running a love vibration. You got to look in the mirror and say, what is the energy that I'm running? And you can monitor it yourself. That's what a litmus test is, remember? What's your energy? So it feeds on the light to maintain what it is aware of. Because it's in fear of what love is. Because that energy vibrates its state of consciousness, our state of consciousness, at a higher rate of speed. So I thought I'd sort of end this in a way with Roddy Piper, who used to be a WrestleMania guy, and he went into movies. And in 1988, if you want to put a cap on this, that really sort of just encompasses everything that I've covered, this is probably a film that I would use in a class with children, okay, in particular, how it works, which is what's called inverted programming. How they get us to essentially run in reverse, which means we're going in the other direction, which means we're losing light, not gaining light, and people are not even aware of how it works. Okay? That movie called They Live in 1988, produced by John Carpenter. Okay? You see a little sign when he found a pair of sunglasses in a box. He put them on, and now all of a sudden he's reading the language on the billboard where it said, no independent thought. You're not allowed to think for yourselves. You're not allowed to be free from us. You're held captive. Your mind is held captive to us, and you don't even know it because you can't translate the language that we use, that we present to you, and realize that that language that you write into your unconscious memory is to make sure that you're running in reverse and you don't even know it. Now that he had the sunglasses on, he realized the language was inverted. That's how it works. It's reverse programming language. That's why I knew as a child everything that they put up. I know who you are. I know who I am. And I'm not what you are. I run a higher speed than you do. So that's why you have so many people that aren't even aware. When you walk through a city in particular, any community that I go through, it's obvious to me the program that they're running is to keep them running in reverse, and they're simply not even aware of it. So naturally, I'm not going to be approaching all these people and saying, why are you running in reverse? Why are you doing things that are lowering your state of frequency, the vibration rate at which you're experiencing what it is that you are, which means you're doing things in order to maintain lower density. Why are you doing that? It means that you never ascend. You can never get up there. That's how they maintain perception with beings, okay, to feed off their light. You become a source of food for them. So I've always said this many times. Stop, put the mirror up, take a look at yourself, and see what it is that we're doing. We're feeding vampires. We're feeding parasites. We got to be running at a higher speed. That means that's a vibrational shift, which is a consciousness shift, which means that which we perceive based on the vibration that we're running, we're free. We're free of all the parasites. They can't feed on us anymore. That's the bottom line lesson. That's the final exam, okay? That's the purpose of this classroom, is so that we learn how to become a lighthouse where we're not food for a parasite. Instead, we're self-sustaining batteries that free ourselves to be autonomous. Now our creative imagination, the conscious, creative mind, is running on a higher speed wave. Now you're free to experience the reality that you're creating. That's the power of running on source. That's the purpose of this classroom, is to learn how to do that. So when the class was dismissed in 2013, we're sort of like tutors that are trying to help navigate as many people who have an open mind, who can sort of understand how energy works, how light works, how to be a powerful magnet to attract more light, and therefore you're running at a higher speed, you'll shift. So we don't want to lose nobody, okay? So that's the purpose of why I even do this, is because I love and I care about everybody, and I don't want to lose nobody, okay? But it's not up to me, it's up to you. It's up to everybody that's here on the dimension that they want to occupy. Where do you want to go? Because there is a natural cosmic order in how this works. There's a reason that this classroom is in place, and that is to help beings ascend, because we love you. That's why this classroom is here, because a teacher in this classroom loves you. Okay? The rest of the universe, the higher heavenly realms, love us. Okay? That's why we're here. Okay? We care about you. We have enormous empathy and compassion for you. Okay? And for people to realize that they have that potential, electrical potential within their own selves to generate the power of how that energy is able to free ourselves so that we're no longer held captive, is here. And that's what makes it so painful, is because it's so simple. You know, it is. That's why I spend so much time with children, because they are the future. Because I realized as a child, they were recycling the same program from generation to generation. It was handed down from children to the adults. Excuse me, they become adults. Now the children essentially Xerox the same information that represents the same lower density, heavier density matter that they experience, and it just gets recycled from one generation to the next, to the next generation to the next generation to the next, which means they're not learning to ascend. They're not learning how to get their speed up, how to become self-sustaining and allow everything to be free. We don't need to put things in cages. Everybody's autonomous where I'm from. You're free to be what you are. You're not held captive by anything, and we don't hold anything captive. Otherwise, that slows us down. So anyway, I'll leave that for the day. It's Things are accelerating, okay? And that's good news. We're freeing ourselves from our captors. That's the bottom line. Have a great day. Enjoy the day. The sun is up. Bye now.